Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we're reviewing the Spyderco Lil Native, to which a lot of you may be saying, wait, that's not a Lil Native sitting there. No, it isn't. This is a Spyderco Native 5, which begat the Lil Native. So we're going to backtrack here right off the bat, give a little history for you. Spyderco Native 5 came out a few years ago. Very, very popular knife. They make it in a bunch of different versions. This happens to be the lightweight version with the FRN and the S35 VN steel. I love this knife. I carry it a whole lot. The more standard version, I guess you'd call it, is with black G10 and an S30V handle, or blade. And then they make S110V. They've made a whole bunch of different sprint runs of it. It's been a very popular knife. But just making sprint runs of this knife wasn't enough. They said, let's expand the Native 5 family even more. They came out with a knife, not called Native, but definitely just a scaled up, grown up, blown up Native. They even call it that themselves. This is the Shaman, which if you guys have read my review or watched my review, which a lot of you guys I know have because it's one of my more popular videos on this channel, this is just a big, beefy, burly, blown up Native 5 with a compression lock. Now they decided, hey, you know, we can do even more. We'll leave it out here actually. And we can make a little one. And now we have the Lil Native, the subject of this review. We finally got to it. We got there, guys. The Lil Native is a scaled down version, as its cutesy name would imply. But it has a cutesy name, but this is not a cutesy knife. As I said in my review of this knife, of the Shaman, I said this is like the big burly guy at the bar that you don't want to start any shit with. I would say the Lil Native has... It's the personification of little guy syndrome. I mean, this is like that little short guy who's spends too much time at the gym and gets mad every time you say something bad to him. Yeah, that's kind of what this is. It's little, but man, it's meant to do some stuff. This is a very small but stout little knife, and I really, really, really like it. I knew I would when I ordered it, and I'm very happy with it. It's going to come in 3 different versions. Right now, all you can get is the compression lock version, which is actually, that's even kind of hard to find at the moment. They're pretty popular. I'll put a link to where I got this one from, and they still list them as in stock from GP Knives. But it's this compression lock, like the Shaman is, or you can get it in the more conventional Native 5 lockback, like my lightweight is, and like all Native 5s are, or you can get it in a slip joint, which that's initially what I was going to hold out for, because I thought, well, maybe this will replace my SOG Terminus as a knife that I take in my check bags when I go overseas, because they're illegal everywhere. But and it still I may still get that, but I heard the slip joint's going to be like the 3rd one to come out, and I didn't want to wait that long. So I snapped one of these up, and man, am I glad I did. I really, really, really like this thing. Aesthetically, if you like the look of the Native 5, you're going to like the look of this. It's very well put together. The G10's really nice. I like the way Spyderco textures their G10. I think it's that perfect mix of grippy without ripping your pants apart or anything. All the shiny stuff looks really good. I like the look of the wire pocket clips. I'm glad they didn't paint them on this, because the only thing, they've rarely done that, but when they have coated or painted the wire pocket clips, it usually comes right off pretty quick. So I'm glad they didn't. Just leave the silver. They're not that big. It's fine. Yep, 2.5-inch blade, as I said, with that classic, you know, leaf shape. I really, really like the looks of this very, very much. I have no complaints aesthetically. It's Spyderco's. Some people don't like the looks. I think that's getting fewer and fewer in the knife community. You're getting used to them. Blade centering is excellent. It's the Golden Colorado version. So blade centering is excellent, as you'd expect. The lockup is very, very good. There's no sharp anything anywhere. Yeah, quality and aesthetics, I think, are very good. I think this is a cool looking little knife. I really, really do. Let's get into the hardcore, down low, into the weeds specs of this. Not a big knife, as I said, hence the name Lil. Lil, not little, Lil. Lil. That's really hard for me to say, I just realized. A little less than 6 inches, a little less than 6 inches overall in length. Blade length, as I said, of 2.5 inches. Sharpen length, you're looking more like 2.1 inches. Got your blade thickness of 0.12, So pretty thin blade, but thicker than I would have thought. I thought it would probably be more like down to 0.1 even. Close length of 3.5 inches. And your handle thickness is 0.4 inches. So pretty thin. Not ridiculous thin. Not as thin as something I'm very eager to review pretty soon. This is going to be coming out soon. This is the Chaparral lightweight. Not as thin as this. This thing is, wow. All right, digressing. I think you got to wait a few days for that one. But yeah, good handle thickness. Not crazy. Let's look at the weight of it, and we're going to compare it to some others. Here, I actually got my proper scales out for this one. Come on now. It's got to boot up and everything, and we're still in ounces. All right, cool. So 2.43 ounces for weight on this. Compare it to some other knives in this sort of size category. I admit, I don't have a whole lot because, you know, I'm just kind of getting into these small knives, and I'm really kind of digging them. I really am. So the Chaparral I mentioned before, we're looking at we'll call that 2.1 ounces, giving some accommodation for the margin of error. I do not have a Spyderco Dragonfly here, which is another knife that's right in this size category, but I do have the Bird equivalent, Bird Robin 2, also 2 ounces. So pretty, it's a little heavier, but you'd expect that with the compression lock. And we'll do one more weight comparison. Here's your Delica 4, about 2.5 ounces. So it's a little lighter than Delica 4, but maybe not by as much as you'd expect for that size. But it is G10 and a liner and a compression lock instead of, you know, those are all lockbacks. So you'd kind of expect that. Anywho, let's do some outright size comparisons here. You already saw it against the other Manixes, so we will, the Manixes, so we'll skip that, but let's do size comparison. So this is Delica 4, also a fairly small knife, but bigger than this. As you can see, let's scooch these down a bit. I always have them up too high. Against your Chaparral that I mentioned earlier. It's a pretty similar to that. The Chaparral is a tick longer, but not by a whole lot. And again, this is not a Dragonfly. It is a Bird Robin 2. It's the less expensive Spyderco version of the Dragonfly, so your Dragonfly is going to be pretty similar in size overall to that. So just a tick bigger than a Dragonfly, tick smaller than a Delica. But I really like the overall size of it. The blade on it, I'm also a fan of. We've got S30V steel, again, made in Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. I really like the blade shape on this. As I said, it's a little thicker spine than I thought it would be, but that's good, I guess, because it is a short blade, so it is pretty beefy. But man, it slices through some stuff. It's really good. I was actually very surprised how good it sliced through stuff. It was much better than I thought it would be. And I've been carrying this for a few days now, and initially, you know, thought I'd carry it as my like second knife or something like that, but man, it works fine as a primary EDC. It really does. If you're not doing anything super serious, it works great for that. Yeah, it is a small blade, but it does a lot. It is a box opening champion, and at Christmas time coming up, I'm doing a whole lot of that. So yeah, it's a box slicing champion. I really do like it. Let's talk about the ergonomics a bit. It is a small knife, but man, it doesn't feel that small. I mean, especially if you choke up and you use that jimping, it fits in my hand really well. And that's how they designed this knife to be. They intend for you to choke up on it like that. I don't think they really intend on you holding it, trying to hold it back like this. It's a small knife. That's why that giant choil is there. There is no jimping on the blade itself. There is jimping up here above the compression lock, and just a little ticky boo bit on the back of the blade, and it works really well. It does. I'm very happy with the grip on it, and with the grippy G10, this thing feels very secure. When I'm cutting, I've had to cut some cardboard with it, not a whole lot, but a little bit, and even thicker stuff. You can get enough purchase on it to really, you know, slice through it. The ergonomics on it are really pretty fantastic for a knife this size. You always have to qualify it for a knife this size, but I think you guys know that. Yes, is it my Shaman or a Manix 2 or my Cut Jack or my Modus better? Yes, but of course they are. They're bigger. But this is really great for a knife this size. Very happy with it. Now, carry also, It carries very well. The pocket clip is pretty deep, as you can see. You got a little bit sticking up here, but not much. I'm perfectly fine with that. As I always talk about here, I know I beat it into the ground, but the 5th pocket knives, I've been beating that ground so much. That's part of the reason why I've got some smaller knives coming up to review, because I thought, well, you know, the 3-inch blade, I've mostly been trying to carry a 3-inch blade in my 5th pocket, and it usually works, but sometimes it doesn't. These little things always do. I mean, this thing completely, that little 5th pocket, you know, where you're supposed to put your change or whatever in your jeans, I'm always wearing 5-pocket jeans, so it's great. It fits all the way, it bottoms out, transparent, barely even know it's there. It is the thickness of it you feel every now and then, but that's about it. It's really great in that pocket. I really do like it. Now, I thought, you know, I don't have any complaints about the carry. I guess it's a little, for its size, it feels thick, but it isn't. It's still thinner than, like, it's a little thicker than, say, like, let's look at the Delica. Something else I carry in that pocket a lot. Yeah, it's a little thicker than a Delica, but not by much. But you know what? I think it's worth it for the compression lock, which brings us on to the deployment. I love compression locks. I always do. Always have. Never thought I'd see one in a knife this small. So I think it's really cool to have I have my flippy little compression lock. It's great. I love it. And yeah. And you know, okay. And this is using it for a few days, and it's still smooth. But you know what? I wasn't going to bring this up, but another reviewer, I won't mention who it was, it really got very upset about the fact that a little bit of the blade comes through here, that the bottom of that choil pops up inside there, and said, oh, it ruins bounces off your finger. Yeah, if you shove your whole finger in there and you close it, he's right. If you shove your whole finger in there and you close it, it doesn't close all the way because it hits your finger. But not all compression locks are going to work the same. The Shaman also has a bit that comes in through there, and I just learned to not hold it that way, and it's not a problem. When I close this, usually I use my fingernail, and it closes fine. Or I move my finger up towards the front like I do on my Shaman, and it closes fine. So I'm sorry that particular guy was upset about that, and it's a fairly popular channel, and you're probably going to see that, but I'm not going to start a feud, but I completely disagree. It is not a quote-unquote major flaw. It is nothing wrong at all. You just have to move your finger a bit. It's a compression lock, but it's a tiny one. It's going to be different. And it took me all of about 30 seconds to get used to it, and now I love this thing. And like I said, this is only a few days of use. I haven't oiled it. I haven't done anything to it. And oh, I guess I did oil it. Yeah, I guess I did put a couple drops of nano oil in there, but I kind of do that just by reflex when I open a new box. So now that I have the nano oil that I need to get off my butt and review, I use it. I put a couple drops on almost everything. But yeah, I think the deployment on it is fantastic. It's 90% as fun as my Paramilitary 2 or, you know, Para 3, and in a smaller package, and I can have it with me all the time. Now, cutting wise, let's get some paper here. Brian was unprepared, so I gotta tear a piece of paper out of my notebook here. So the blade, super sharp, is a Golden Colorado one. You'd expect they're always really sharp as can be. And as I said, it's a box opening champion. It really is. Perfect size blade for that. You know, with a smaller blade like this for fine work like that, you're not going to go so far down in that you're going to damage what's inside the box. I just want to keep cutting paper with it because it's so good. Man, this thing is sharp. And it's only had it for a few days, so I'm not going to call it heavy use, and maybe I'll do a longer follow-up video later, but in that few days of use, it's been great, and it hasn't lost any edge whatsoever. S30V, easy steel to sharpen. This is a tiny little blade, so it's probably going to get sharpened instead of using my particular... I have a multi-stone Smith setup that this is going to be kind of difficult to use on, but I have a Lansky box, you know, with the cylindrical stones and stuff. I'll probably just wind up sharpening on that, but yeah, it's very good overall, man. I'm kind of having a hard time finding complaints about this. The only complaint I can have about it, like, I can't even complain about the price. I didn't even mention the price yet. It's only $105. Yeah, it's more than a Delica. It's more than a Dragonfly. Significantly more than a Dragonfly. But it's got a compression lock. I think it's totally worth it. We're going to even zoom in on it here for the end when we talk about the conclusion. I really think it's worth every penny of, currently it's $105 on GP Knives, where I'm going to send you guys to, only because they're the only ones I can find that have them in stock right now. Ergonomics are really great for a knife this size. The deployment is fun. It's very secure. It's a very stout little knife for its size. As I said, this is the little man syndrome of the Spyderco lineup, and I like it. I really, really do. This is definitely a keeper, and will probably displace some knives from my own collection. I'm going to do a further review on this, or no, it's not a review, but like just a rant about this. It makes me kind of wonder why I have knives in this size. Not just this, but also the Chaparral and a couple other smaller ones, because I usually, if I'm carrying a knife, a 3-inch knife, I'm also have a bigger one on me somewhere. So I'm like, why do I have a 3-inch knife and a 3.5 or 4-inch knife? I should have a 2.5-inch knife and a 3.5 or 4-inch knife. You know what I mean? That's just like, if I'm gonna have a small one and a big one, why do I have one that meets in the middle? That's kind of, if I'm always carrying two. In the summertime, I guess I'm gonna like something like this more, where I'm only carrying one and it's a middle of the road size. But if you carry two knives, I don't know. I'm rambling here now, but anyway, this knife is a great knife. Very excited about it. Well done, Spyderco. Very much enjoy the Lil Native. I didn't talk anything about the spider hole on it. It is a little smaller, obviously. I'm sorry, I brushed over that with some other deployment, because I don't usually deploy this with the spider hole. You can, though, totally. It'll Spidey flick and all those good things. Of course. Yep, and now I don't do it. But it'll Spidey flick and all those good things. I just usually use the compression lock, so that's what I talked about more in the deployment. Anywho, great knife. Great job, Spyderco. Go out to the link I sent below and buy you one of these, because they're going to be sold out, and then I don't know when they're going to come out again. I mean, I know this is a regular production model, but it might be a minute, so they're very popular and people are snapping them up. I've been Brian. Please follow me on Instagram at SliceyDicey75 and visit our Patreon. Subscribe to this channel and click the little bell icon for notifications and all that good stuff. Thank you guys. Have a good one.